Hey, how's it going? My name's Steve, and today I'm here at Dutton Park with another little crossover rail construction update video. Now these are some clips that I shared with Paul from Transport Blog when he was making his part 2 of his Crossover Rail Explainer series. And I really encourage you to go and take a look at those videos because they're a really great overview of the whole system. So I'll put a link to that in the description below and in the information card section. So let's go and have a look at the construction progress.
So I'm down here on Roma Street and I've come all the way to the western end of the site where you can see the large services building which has been built here. And a lot of progress has happened on this building, although unfortunately it's all covered up with scaffolding, so it's really hard to see what's going on. It's definitely a lot taller than it was in April though. There is one vantage point where you can have a little peek through the scaffolding, but you can't see a whole lot here. You can see there's a lot of space on the site between the buildings, and there's plans for things like overstation developments and a public plaza. And now we come to the main station entrance, and you can see that this has grown a lot in the last couple of months. And pretty soon the main canopy is going to be built here, so that's going to be really exciting to see. And just like the services building, there's not a lot of places we can see through the scaffolding, but we'll have a bit of a closer look later. And finally we come to the eastern side of the site, where you can see the acoustic shed here, which basically looks exactly the same as it has for the last few years. But I believe this is still used to bring construction equipment and materials down to the tunnel level. As I cross Roma Street here, you can see the temporary station entrance, which has been here for a few months. The old station entrance used to be further up towards the acoustic shed. And it's just around here that we can have a little bit of a peek up over a hoarding into the station entrance building, but you still can't see that much. And this is a bit of a view of the side of that building, so you can really get a scale of just how tall it is. And if you're wondering why the weather keeps changing so much, it's because I visited the site on a few different days to film. So here's a view of that newer station entrance. You can see that they've got stairs as well as a ramp for people with mobility impairments. And up here is where it connects into the existing station concourse, with the go-kart gates just up to the right. If you walk up Roma Street, you can still access the old temporary station entrance, but now this is only connected to the section of busway platform 1 which is open. But this served as the main station entrance to Roma Street for a number of years while they were constructing the underground station box. So I came up into the station and came to platform 3 to have a look at the new canopy which has been constructed on platform 2. And you can see that this is coming along well, but it is unfortunate that it is very architecturally boring. They put a lot of effort into the architectural design of the stations down on the south side, so it's disappointing to see that this canopy is basically just a boring metal box. It's especially strange given that this is one of Brisbane's premier stations. And finally, down in the concourse, there are some upgrades that are happening as part of Crossover Rail as well. This is down near the coach terminal and the parklands, so it'll be interesting to see what this looks like when it's upgraded. Well, here I am down at the Albert Street Crossover Rail Station, and unfortunately there's not a whole lot to see here. Basically up till now all of the progress has been underground here, although if we look closer there are a few little signs that it is starting to come up to the ground level. Just like at Roma Street, the acoustic shed is still here, and still basically looks as it has for many years. Crossing the road, we can get a little peek into the construction site here, and this should start becoming exciting as the construction's just up to ground level, but unfortunately we can't see anything here yet. But coming down Albert Street at the secondary entrance, there is some things to see. Peeking through this hole in the gate, we can see one concrete shaft that started to come up above ground level, and just like the other part of the site, this should start becoming more exciting pretty soon. Apart from this, the only thing to see here is where they keep their hats. Well, here I am at Woolloongabba, and the services building is starting to take shape. It's nice that unlike the buildings at Roma Street, this one isn't completely covered in scaffolding, but there's so much concrete here that we can't really see much into it. I expect that shaft coming out of the middle is part of the tunnel ventilation system as an exhaust. Coming around Leopard Street a bit, we make a chilling discovery. These 4 chiller units have been installed on top of the utilities building, and these will be part of the air conditioning system of the station. They'll generate cold water which will be piped down through these insulated pipes that you can see below. This building will probably be covered by metal screens all around the sides, but the top will probably be open since these chillers have to reject a lot of heat into the air. The last time I visited the site was back on the 28th of May, and at that point there were only 2 chillers installed. And coming back to the present day, you can see there's also a lot more temporary scaffold. Now I've come down to the busway station, and from here you can get a pretty good overview of the site, but unfortunately you can't see down into any of the shafts. Here you can see the acoustic shed on the Gabba side of the site. Having a bit of a closer look, you can see the precast concrete structures here which form the mezzanine in the underground station structure. And now for a very exciting little channel update. In the next Crossover Rail update video, which should be out in a few weeks, we'll get an exclusive look underground at the construction site of Woolloongabba Station. It was really amazing to get the chance to come down and have a look, and it's going to be a really interesting video, so make sure you're subscribed if you haven't already. because that way you'll get notified as soon as the video is released, and you really don't want to miss this one. And now, back to the video. And this is what's happening at Boggo Rd Station. In early July, I came down to the back of the Princess Alexandra Hospital to take a look at what was happening with the cycle and pedestrian bridge, and excitingly it started to be connected to the existing cycleway which goes past the busway. So it's really exciting to see this getting more and more complete. Still, there are lots of bridge sections to go in, and there's still a lot of temporary supports and other things holding it up. And now we fast forward all the way to October. By this point, many more pieces of the bridge had been installed, and you can see this spiral ramp which has started to take shape. And this is to get the walkway up to the required height to get over the railway line. And it really is a very impressive structure in person. I have seen some renders of the bridge, but I'd forgotten that it was going to be quite this elaborate on this side. And at this point, the gap that needs to be filled in is getting smaller and smaller, and it should be finished pretty soon. Back in mid-August, I'd come to have a look at the other side of the bridge to see where it landed. So this is Peter Doherty Street, and it's going to come over this roundabout and land on the hill here next to the Ecosciences Precinct building. And now I'm here back behind the Ecosciences Precinct, and we can see some more of those precast concrete segments for the mezzanines. But unfortunately, there's not too much else to see here at ground level. Luckily, we do have one vantage point. Since the station box has been constructed into the side of the hill, we can get a view from the Boggo Rd Station platforms. So we can see a lot of progress has happened here on the external walls of the station, but it still looks very hollow inside, so not a lot of structure is built on the interior yet. And as a little bonus, I came to Dutton Park to have a look at the station progress, just because I was in the area. This footage is from mid-October, and you can see that the station's really starting to take shape, with the first part of the pedestrian overpass being installed, and some work on the platforms and the canopies already been done. So you can see that just like last time when I visited, there's still only 2 tracks coming through this area. The third set of tracks is going to be through the middle, just to the left of the dual gauge track on the right. Now, one very interesting thing about this station, which is quickly becoming obvious, is that there's actually only 2 platforms here. Most of the other upgraded stations added a third platform on the dual gauge track, so this is not being done here at Dutton Park, and I'm not sure why, because it does look like there is enough space. But it does look like the 2 sets of tracks are at quite different heights, so maybe that's something to do with it. So there's still a lot of work to be done before the station can be reopened to the public. I'm going to be away for a little while, but I'll be back later for another update before the end of the year. If you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing that. It's completely free. And as I said, there's a really exciting, exclusive look underground at Woolloongabba Station coming in just a couple of weeks. Hit that subscribe button and you'll be notified as soon as that video comes out. Well, that's about all I have for you today. Please give the video a like and comment if you had any interesting observations below. You can also support the channel by becoming a member on either Ko-fi or Patreon to help me find the time to make videos more frequently. There are some links in the description below. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.